Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of All Gooed Up goop the goblins and gain control of the southern shores of Cutlass Keys. Acting on a scoop, KOTT News were on the scene prior to the outcome and got reactions immediately after the victory. Thug, would you care to say a few words about the fight?
John, I'd be happy to. I don't know that I'm any kind of official representative here, but I definitely would say the existing management is ready to turn over around here, and they need something I would describe as fresh.
A fresh start is what you're saying we're going to get here on El Dorado, huh?
Yeah, I think JP probably would have a few words to say.
Oh, stepping right up to the microphone next is...
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Loud and clear. What would you like to say to the citizens of Eternum?
So first, I'd like to say, hi, I'm UP. And second, I'd like to say, this is a really emotional night. A lot of the Fresh Start guys, we've been working for a couple months to kind of come out here. All we've ever heard on Fresh Start was, you have no chance against legacy players. You guys are the worst players you've ever seen. You guys, Fresh isn't even real new world. Willie rated us the worst server to play on, and everyone told us that no matter what, if we came to a legacy server, we would get farmed. And we worked so hard for the last couple months. We're grinding. So sorry. We were grinding really hard. We were reviewing the best that we could to get better. And I just want to say I'm proud of everybody coming out here. I want a really strong start. I'm proud of everybody in my company. I want to especially thank Abe, because he's on the left over here. And that's it.
Right here? Oh, hey, there he goes. Earlier in the night, KOTT News spoke with Outcast leadership about their successful hold of Reekwater.
I think we fought them pretty well on point. We were obviously vastly outnumbered, but we tried to really coordinate well as a group. We let them have some holds here and there, but generally we were pretty aggressive in rotating and wiping points at key times.
Now, I know that you participated here, so you won't be able to help out later in Monarch's Bluff, but will the legendary hero arrive?
Panda Chi is actually missing. He's taken 3 or 4 million gold out of the treasury and absconded with it, and we're actually actively trying to find him.
Well, now that you've overcome this obstacle for tonight, what are your intentions for the rest of the evening here in Reekwater?
I think we're going to celebrate our victory. I think it was well earned. I can tell you the swamp is Outcast territory. It will always be Outcast home. This is where we grew up. This is where we live. This is our place. We'll defend it against any attackers.
As the fights unfolded, KOTT caught up with Outcast leadership again in Monarch's Bluff to go over their outcome there. Congratulations on your victory here on Monarch's Bluff, holding it down for the full 30 minutes. Were you care to take us through how it went down in your perspective?
Yeah, I was playing Oppo on side today. It was pretty good, but they were very strong player, strong roster. But yeah, I think we held it down. So yeah, pretty good for our part. So yeah.
I agree. Good on your part. Good on everybody on your team. Was there anybody on your team that stood out, however?
Oh yeah, Morgtown popped off. I feel like he did really well. Ryoku, point team was crazy on our part too. It was really insane.
In the nightcap, Syndicate leadership spoke with KOTT News after their successful defense in Calvary. Congratulations on your victory here in Brightwood, giving the Syndicate a little more breathing room as we continue to hold our foothold here on the island. Would you care to take us through how the fight went out there?
It was a pretty good fight. I mean, they're just transferred here from Isabella, I think. So I'll welcome them to Legacy. It was fun. Kind of 2-point held them outside. We gave up 1 point, and yeah, they tried pretty hard.
Was there anybody on your team that really stood out in their performance tonight?
I want to give a big shout out to Drem Manus. We love them, and I hope he continues to play with us.
Well, do you have any plans for the Hamlet now that you've been able to secure it for another few days?
We'll try to hold it as much as possible, John, and we'll keep trying to expand. We'll see where it goes. Syndicate definitely needs some love on the map.
In community news, Peyote Magic is hosting a PvP tournament at the Great Shrine of Toth tonight in Brimstone Sands. Be sure to contact him if you are interested in solo, doubles, or 3-on-3 PvP. A small buy-in is required to participate. Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Season 1 event, last night's card was a two-liner. Leave a comment below if you're still working on your bingos. Last night's invasion forces made it through the northern rim in Weaver's Fin, disrupting crafting services slightly for the time being. Looking at the weather for today, and it appears the sun will go about its business as it does every other day, once more circling the eternum sky. But once more after sundown, citizens should be on the lookout for opportunities to fight back corruption invasion forces in the north. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. Tonight, the syndicate members of All Gooed Up assail the marauders of Iron Reavers for control of the always contentious Restless Shore. The syndicate members of All Gooed Up, aka Fresh Bench, make their way to the eastern shore to challenge their next rival on the island. But will they find the pace as rapid this time? Iron Reavers took note of the outcome last night, and though they tend to overwhelm their opponent through open world combat, they may have to step up their defense management to hold tonight. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the syndicate members of Iron RPers expand the syndicate union to the eastern Restless Shore. KOTT News caught up with the victors for a brief word on their way to the celebration on the ship. Congratulations on your victory here in Restless Shore over in about 8 minutes, about the same amount of time as it took yesterday as you continue to expand the Syndicate Empire back across the island. How do you feel it went out there?
All I know is that we're out here.
The party went well into the night, but KOTT News had other things to report on, like the ongoing coverage of the Season 1 event, with new rates resulting in amped-up goo drops. Last night's bingo card was a simple line to get us halfway through. Leave a comment below about how far along you are. Turning quickly to the weather once more, and the sun will continue its not-so-perilous journey across the Eternum sky. Then be on the lookout after sundown as corruption invasion forces rise up across 30% of the island. 3 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. Up first, the marauders of Goosh Goblins attack the Covenant smugglers of Error.pxp for control of the medicinal hot springs of Ebonscale Reach. The Goosh Goblins, currently without a place to call home, make a move on the resort destination to acquire access to the medicinal hot springs. But Error.pxp needs the bamboo of Ebonscale for their contraband deliveries to the Northern Territory of Morningdale, so they'll put their full effort into holding the keep. Then, the Covenant smugglers of Error.pxp assault the marauders of Iron Reavers for control of the island's primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fin. Fighting in back-to-back encounters, Error forces will have to switch it up and turn their attention to the Peat Moss Bog as they strive to secure a route to their final destination. Iron Reavers forces, consolidated into the Fin, must stand their ground against a similarly talented Error squad or be forced into looking for a new place to call home. In the nightcap, the Covenant forces of Unlasting assail the marauders of Gorilla Town for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. The newcomers of Unlasting make their first move on the island by testing their faith on the Southern Cape, attempting to secure the spice and hyssop production facilities of the island. The marauders of Gorilla Town were unable to prevent recent invasion forces from breaching the keep, but the citizens of First Light are hopeful that they'll pay deeper attention in tonight's fight. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Welcome to KOTT Cribs, our new segment where we go around and check out people's cribs. Today's crib, a small Pebble is going to show us around their cantina. Pebble, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I am Pebble. It took me a long time to get this this pub, is what I like to call it, Pebble's Pub, put together. As you can see over here to our left, if you guys can get, you look over here. Put some tables down to get some the little deck area for where we get food and everything. Over here we can get some alcohol, you know, some goodies if you need. and then some dirty dishes over here, you know, to make it a little bit more fancy.
It's the
All
busing
of the
station.
seats inside of my all of the seats inside of my pub are actually seatable. You can sit down in each one at a table. And then over here is another side of the bar, or more so the deck area where you can eat.
I love the deck.
The deck is pretty amazing.
Yeah, the
It is.
elevated deck. Are these a bunch of tables that you've used to elevate?
Yes, it is. It is. I have set down strategically these tables to make it look like a deck on the outside, and then set tables on top of tables.
I like the
Although
patio
from the
right out
outside
here on
in-
the outskirts of Everfall, you know, right out on the
Yes,
street.
yeah. People don't really, you know, at first glance, you don't really think of it as being tables, but it is. You work your way in,
After
and
you
here's our
take a-
bar.
Oh, thank you.
We have the bar back here. Usually be making food. And then the customers come in through here, and then we get them their drinks. Have it very fully decorated. Have some of the urns of my family members up there at the very top, if you can see. Passed away, R.I.P.
You're a family-run business, so, you know.
Yeah. They always have to be up there.
Love all the flowers and greenery in here,
Yes,
too.
yes. I was trying to make it look, you know, homey. As homey
It
as I can.
is, very much.
And then we got some
Ooh.
tables over here. All seatable, by the way. And then if you look over here at this one specific seat, there's a map of Eternum. And this is where all of our war strats are created.
A rare map. It's not easy to get that. It's difficult to set it up so that you can sit in all the chairs, by the way. Having experienced the
very.
interface for housing, I know how difficult this is.
Yes, it took me some time. I'm very happy to hear that you understand that. You're gonna have to jump on top of it and then
I'm trying to do it without putting my UI back on.
Sit next to me.
There we go.
There you go.
Yay.
Thanks.
Oh, and you got a rug over there? I just saw a rabbit head just came jumping off of there. Oh, and you've got that
I know
nice,
I can get this. I know I can get this, I promise.
that lantern's really nice too, or the chandelier.
There we go. Look at that.
It's a nice setup. I'm gonna give it the spin around here. Looking sharp, man. Nice crib.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm also scouting Brimstone currently for my another main pub location. So
Pebbles Pub is it's going to be a franchise, huh?
yes, yep. We're working our way around Eternum, sir.
Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Covenant smugglers of Error.pxp capture the peat moss bog of the Fen. And the Marauders of Goosh Goblins conquer the medicinal hot springs and resort destination of Ebonscale Reach. KOTT News were on the scene all night long and got reactions from the victors. Congratulations on your victory here in the final moments. Putting yourself back on the map with the hometown here in Ebonscale. How do you feel about it?
Feels pretty good to win that victory. We've been home for a little bit, but things are looking up.
Yeah, indeed. Were you able to get into the fort phase early, or did you happen to get through there in the last minutes?
We got into the fort phase about the 24-minute mark. We had a rough time coming together and getting some wipes, but we eventually pulled through at the end and secured the victory.
Indeed you did. Was there anybody who stood out in their performance tonight?
I just want to say shout out to Raz Putin from JDB, who really pulled up and put on a show.
Later in Weaver's Fen, KOTT News caught up with Error leadership to discuss their night. Well, it appears you conserved your energy in Ebonscale for here in Weaver's Fen over in about 10 minutes. Would you care to take us through how you were able to finish it so quickly?
Yeah, well, a lot of motivation. We decided, look, okay, Bamboo really wasn't for us, John. I know I told you that was our next endeavor, but it turns out that shit's hard to cut, and it sucks, and it's not worth a lot, and, so we moved on, and, just let those guys, what's their name? Just I don't know. Sounds like a 6-year-old naming a company or something. I can't. They change the name all the time. I don't know, John. We gave it to them, and then now we're over here, and we're like, I feel like getting a little muddy. So here we are in the swamp, and we tried out our own dive team. We tried some unconventional point teams, and then we brought a special someone, John. We brought a special someone.
Yes, I couldn't help but notice a few select mercenarial forces out there on the battlefield. Would you care to comment on some of the outstanding players you had out there tonight?
Yeah, we took the most dog shit of Outcast, led by Kylam himself. He's just pretty bad. Some say he's a rat, so we figured that would be perfect for the swamp war, right?
Well, now you're here, you're all set up. It's going to be that much easier to get your contraband up into Morningdale. What are your next moves?
I didn't think that far. Too many wars today. I'm a little exhausted, and I think I'm just going to go find a tar pit to lay in and call it a night.
As things wound down, KOTT spoke with Gorilla Town about their hold in First Light. Congratulations on your victory here in First Light, over in 30 minutes. Would you care to take us through how it went down out there?
Yeah, it was a hard-fought war, honestly. But congrats to both sides. The yellow side did really well. It was hard, the war.
Wars are meant to be hard. They're not supposed to be easy.
It was a mental battle, like to stay the full time.
Yep, you have to stay focused for the entire duration, otherwise they'll slip in and take the fort.
Yeah, the entire duration was hard, but we did it. We all stayed.
Well, great work. Was there anybody who stood out in their performance? Did you see anybody really exceptional tonight?
Everyone who was padding for Peyton was really outstanding.
Everybody.
I support that for the Healer Union.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Season 1 pass, last night's card was a 2-liner. Leave a comment below if you're still working on your cards. Looking at the weather for tonight, and once again the sun will shine on all day long, making for another beautiful day. But look out after sunset as the temperatures drop and the corruption invasion forces rise up across 20% of the island. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Goosh Goblins attack the Covenant PVXers of Tropical House for control of the northern mountain region of Morningdale. Goosh Goblins, riding the momentum of their victory last night in Ebonscale, turned their attention across the map to their attempt to plunder the rain-drenched mountain region. Tropical House, riding their own momentum after securing their holy land earlier last week in the final moments, they're not going to rest easy, holding the fort tonight. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Marauders of Meow for Biss capture the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. KOTT News were on the scene and spoke with the victors immediately after their victory. Congratulations on your victory here in Morningdale, securing the fort in about 20 minutes flat. Would you care to take us through how it went down for you?
Just like last night, we got into the fort within 20 minutes. Our fort fight inside was so much better. And we really learned a lot from our last war. So it's that we have to take it all on error. We're not the best company, bunch of old dudes, but it's all good.
Was there anybody on your team who stood out in their performance tonight?
Point team was amazing. That shit was lit. I can't wait to see it again.
All right. Now, I see that you guys, 2 nights in a row, and tomorrow night you'll be returning to Cutlass Keys, executing your right to rematch. Are you looking forward to that encounter?
Bark for Wiss is a strong company, but Meow for This is much stronger, and we're going to see them head-to-head.
All right, my man. Well, is there anything else you might like to say to the citizens of Eternum in this opportunity?
Meow for This on top. GG's.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Season 1 track, last night's card was a lowercase t. Leave a comment below if you've had a T as well. An unfortunate last-minute breach and restless shore last night. Citizens are encouraged to visit the mission boards to assist repair efforts there. Looking at the weather for today, and once the sun finishes taking yet another lap across the Eternum sky, be on the lookout for a 40% chance of corruption invasion forces scattered across the island. 3 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Syndicate members of Commit assault the Covenant hero worshippers of Outcast 2 for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Commit forces engaging in the first of a doubleheader against the Outcast second squad seek to squeeze them out of the eastern shoreline of the island. But Outcast forces have been able to hold back the attempts of the surrounding factions thus far, and with a full defensive roster available, plan to do so again. Then, the Covenant hero worshippers of Outcasts attack the Syndicate members of Commit for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. Turnabout is fair play, and as such, Outcast forces will run it back in the second fight of the night, attempting to take away Commit's land holdings on the northern edge of Control to Turnham. Commit forces may be tired after pushing earlier in the night, but with timely shot calling and diligent choke management, they plan to preserve their Great House status. In the nightcap, the Marauders of Meow for Biss assail the Syndicate members of Bark for Wiss for control of the island's secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Declaring their right to rematch, this recently rebranded group of Marauders returned to prove to themselves and the island that they were merely unprepared for this unexpected group of refugees. But Meow for Wiss thinks that the island has become complacent in its echo chamber and have come to make sure that every company that's serious about combat makes a fresh start with them. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Outcast and Commit managed to flip territories in their back-to-back doubleheader. KOTT News were on the scene in Reekwater and spoke briefly with Commit leadership, who were hurriedly on their way to their second matchup. Well, I'll make this quick then, because I know you guys have another one coming up right away. Congratulations on your victory here in Reekwater over in almost record time. 1 period is all it took. You guys got into the forfeit rather quickly. Would you care to take us through what happened out there?
Sure. It was a fabulous little gong show of a fight. We lost one of our healers partway through, which was really great. So tempted to heal 2 groups at once. So, that's always a good time. But, regardless that, we still made it through. It didn't matter, right? They were there for support. And that was what was important.
That's true, indeed. I know that you have another fight up in Brightwood tonight. You're going to be able to use the entire roster, same roster going back-to-back?
Oh, you betcha. This didn't tire us out at all. So, we have plenty of energy to take on the next set of Outcasts. So, bring it on.
Later in Brightwood, KOTT News got reactions from the newly anointed regional leaders of Brightwood about their fights. Well, congratulations on your victory here in Brightwood, running it back after your defeat, unfortunate, in Reekwater. Would you care to take us through your tonight's fights?
Yeah, so Reekwater was an Outcast 2 war. That's a lot of our guys that were getting some reps in, a lot of up-and-coming superstars there. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done, but you know what? Those guys are ambitious. I'm pretty sure they're going to run it back. They'll probably be pushing one of these territories here soon. And for this Brightwood war, that was just the OG regular Outcast roster. It's a pretty fun war, like 17 minutes, everything went smooth. It would have been a 5-minute war, but there was no Panda Uchiha, because I don't know if you heard, we went off with like 4 million in company treasury gold, so that's why we had to go get another territory, because we got to recoup whatever he stole, man. He's out, we can't find him, he's just completely ghosted us, man. He's on his dark arc.
Well, the legendary heroes are like that sometimes. They go off and they celebrate by themselves. You never know where they could end up.
Yeah, man, we're going to be putting wanted posters for Panda Uchiha all over Eterna, man.
Was there anybody in tonight's performance who stood out?
Yeah, Kylam. He wasn't in the war. That's why it went so well. He was just shot calling. So shout out to Kylam. He was our superstar there.
Outcast forces have begun issuing wanted posters across the island, and citizens are advised to be on the alert for this once legendary hero. KOTT News were late to the keys, but fresh bench forces were a little busy running OPRs anyways. Returning to our Season 1 bingo coverage, last night's card was a convoluted mess, but we did manage to wrangle 2 lines out of it. Looking at the weather today, and after another long afternoon of sunshine and fair skies, a 20% chance of invasion will arise in the evening in Morningdale and Monarch's Bluff. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPGO. Remember, if it isn't LARPGO, it is cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Gorilla Town assault the syndicate members of No Monkey Business for control of the always contentious Restless Shore. Gorilla Town trek out of the central corridor to the most turbulent region on the map to test their mettle, climbing up the mud hill of the eastern shore. The anarchy in the archipelago never seems to stop, but if fresh bench forces came to fight, then they came to the right spot to get all the action they can handle. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Gorilla Town climb the mud hill and push off the reigning kings. KOTT News were on the scene in Moon Bay and spoke with company leadership about the fight. Congratulations on your victory here in Restless Shore. I was anticipating a longer fight, but would you care to take us through why you were able to get through and onto the point so quickly?
Yeah, John, it was a fun war. They have so many range players, good range players, what makes it really tough for us to push their backline, but they also don't have the same point presence we have, so I think that was their ultimate issue with their comp.
Yeah, well, ultimately, the game of war, as we play it here, is about controlling the objective, and if you don't get onto the objective, you can't control it, right?
Yep, that seemed to be the case tonight, John.
Unfortunate, but is there anybody on your team, or perhaps even their team, that might have stood out in their abilities tonight?
I mean, as far as their team goes, you know, their bows are always bringing the heat. Asos and Dreidel, those guys are always shooting at me. But for our team, I'm just happy for everyone that came out. We tried a new group today, and I thought those guys playing with a new group, new synergy, I thought they did really well, and I'm proud of them. I have no complaints.
Excellent. Well, sir, now that you're in control of the Restless Shore, what are your intentions for the hamlet, and do you have any additional ambitions for the island?
Well, you know, we pushed that war specifically because we thought it would be a fun war, mix it up with a company we've never fought before. As far as our plans for this area, I mean, we're looking for wars. Anyone that wants to come war us, it's always a fun time. And we'll try to upgrade it so we can get that money, man.
Excellent. Well, I know you got some VODs to look over and some debriefing to go through, so I'll let you go right away. But is there anywhere anybody in Eternum can look for you and maybe look at those VODs with you?
If you want to watch my VOD specifically, it's Kill Team. I'm playing light melee. It's kind of a dying class, but if you want to learn about overall Kill Team macro or anything like that, it's just Twitch TV/HutchieOnFire, and you'll see me.
In related news, later in Monarch's Bluff, KOTT news crews spotted commit forces advocating for unionization along the beaches to the fort. Along the beaches to the north, the Marauders of Meow for Biss were having a friendly game of spear dodgeball to improve their core skills. But not everyone can dodge a spear. While returning from the scene, KOTT News ran into Eternum's Most Wanted and was granted this exclusive interview. Want to say anything about the allegations against you?
Yeah, they're all true.
What are you gonna do?
Outcast. What?
Hey, you looking pretty cute, Panda.
Oh, who's Panda? I'm Janine.
An unusual notice was served in New Corsica last night by a neutral third party who seemed to indicate that a grievance has been filed against KOTT News.
No, a civil case has been opened against you, John.
What?
Well, against KOTT News, overall. Basically, with concerns regarding the advocation for and the glorification of war, which affects not only those who willingly participate, but also the minds of those citizens who now feel forced to participate in the perpetuation of the circle of violence of Eternum citizens against one another, as well as affecting those non-participants who constantly find themselves caught in the constant upheaval of the places they call home, affecting tax rates and the cost of living. Someone has taken it upon themselves to call you to court.
I consider these allegations outrageous. I'm an advocate for peace. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. Returning to our continuing coverage of the Season 1 pass, Last night's card was a simple top line. Leave a comment below if you've top lined before too. Looking at the weather for tonight, and after the sun gives us another stellar performance of traveling across the Eternum sky, be on the lookout for northern cold fronts descending from the mountains, giving rise to a 30% chance of corruption invasion forces across the island. 2 lineup submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Additional consideration provided by the Craft Services crew. The generous contributions of viewers like you really do help out the channel. Thank you. First up, the Marauders of Fakas assault the Covenant smugglers of Error.pxp for control of the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Little is known about this group of marauding Fakas, but if they manage to plunder the island's oil supplies, they'll be in a position to dictate fort naming rights. Error forces keep their operations light and mobile so they can move their contraband as efficiently as possible. But that doesn't mean they won't put everything they have into defending the Fen. Then, the Syndicate members of Points the Way attack the Marauders of Meow for Biss for control of the medicinal hot springs and resort destination of Ebon Scale. The nebulous newcomers of the Syndicate are still workshopping names for their company as they continue to test themselves and pin down their core identity. The Marauders of Meow for Biss, growing ever more frustrated by the organized efforts of the Union members, may have to rely on tactics other than brute strength if they wish to prevail. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as both great houses hold outside a fort and retain their respective regions. KOTT News were on the scene all night long, starting in Weaver's Fen, where we spoke with Error leadership about their outcome. Congratulations on your victory here in Weaver's Fen. Taking a full 30 minutes, would you care to take us through how the new fakers of the island played out there?
Yeah, you know, I mean, they... Oh, hello?
You change your mind?
Aha!
There you go.
Sorry. I was turned around from that war a lot, so, you know, no, I think they did a great job. They came in, I know they're a brand new formed company from Isabella, you know, so the refugees are trying to find a place their own, but I'm sorry, John, not today. Oil reserves will remain ours, and that's just the way it's going to be. They ended up capturing 2 points, and we just kind of, you know, sat there on B and had fun.
Well, one of the more difficult ways to hold the outside, but you managed to pull it off. Was there anybody who stood out in their performance for you tonight?
Yeah, I would like to have a shout out to our masked healer, Levcon. Yep, masked healer. Yep, he did a great job healing us for a long time. And yeah, he's amazing.
A little bit of civic matter, if you don't mind me asking real fast. Couldn't help but notice there's not much to really move around here other than the oil. Do you have anybody lined up for that particular contraband?
Well, you know, just before this interview, John, leadership contacted me and they said, look, we're getting into a point where oil prices are going to be going up. Why? Because we're going to raise the price of oil as high as we can because we control the oil reserves of this entire island. You know, and so, as you recall, in order to move things around, you're going to need the oil, right, John?
That's true. Some intense audio from Marauder leadership in Ebon Scale, but KOTT News crews were able to catch a couple participants to get their perspectives. Ursula, would you care to say a couple words?
Yeah, what Meow was trying to say is it was a good war. You know, we wanna just let them know that they're a good company to fight against, so if we want to run it back, we can run it back.
Simple and to the point. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think the most important thing for them to know is that they were nowhere near the point. It was actually this way, and they were really struggling to find it, you know, so maybe they should work on that a little bit, come back a little bit stronger, and try again next time.
A little rudimentary war training might go a long way for them, huh?
Yep, I think that's right, John. I think that's right.
Returning to KOTT News' recent legal dispute, yesterday's arraignment hearing resulted in a trial set for Sunday at 3 p.m. server in New Corsica Theater, Character witnesses for KOTT News are encouraged to attend. Last night's Season 1 bingo attempt resulted in a Diamond No Leaf card. Leave a comment below if you've had a Diamond No Leaf before, too. Looking at the weather, and if you can believe it, the sun will make yet another path across the Eternum sky today. But be on the lookout for southern monsoons stirring up corruption forces across 30% of the island after sundown. For more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco, remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Additional consideration provided by the Craft Services crew. The generous contributions of viewers like you really do help out the channel. Thank you. Tonight, the Syndicate members of At Least We Won Invasion attack the fugitive-seeking covenants of Outcast for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. At Least We Won an Invasion forces trying to look on the bright side while the momentum of their sudden arrival turns into a challenge as the companies of the island respond to their tactics. Outcast forces dealing with 3 defensive fronts tonight will have to do it without the assistance of their legendary hero, who has gone on the run and is in hiding. Meanwhile, the Covenant smugglers of Error.pxp assault the marauders of Stamout-Z for control of the northern mountain region of Morningdale. Error forces have finally made their way to their final destination, but will they be able to secure the region, or will they have to just drop off their goods? Stamout-Z forces, coming off their victory in Ebonscale last night, are well rested and refreshed. They're sure to be ready for the night's only fight without distraction. Also, the Syndicate members of Heartbreak attack the Covenant members of Outcasts for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. Heartbreak forces looking to leapfrog over the central corridor and establish another port town on the west side of the island, like their chances against a distracted Outcast squad. Outcast forces have enough to fill 2 rosters, but how will they prioritize their assignments when deciding which territory is highest priority? But wait, there's more, as the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen assault the vault of Outcast for control of the island's financial capital of Windsward. Returning after their 2-week hiatus, the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen execute their right to rematch after careful consideration and planning for breaking back into the bank. With their coffers drained by the nefarious acts of their once legendary hero, Outcast forces can't afford to lose any income-producing regions, so look for them to put their best security forces on high alert tonight. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.